Hey everyone, this is a summary of A Time Called You, based on my understanding. It won't cover every scene. Spoiler warning, major plot points ahead. Hang Junhee hasn't recovered from the loss of her fiancé, Koo Yeonjun. He passed away in a tragic accident on his way to New York, where he was supposed to meet her. Before the trip, they had a disagreement. Junhee wanted to move to New York for her career, while Yeonjun didn't want the long-distance setup. He offered to go with her, but Junhee didn't want him to sacrifice his life plans. 1 year later, she's still dealing with the pain. One day, while listening to a cassette that belonged to Yeonjun, Junhee suddenly finds herself in 1998. She wakes up in the body of a quiet, reserved high school girl named Kwon Minju who looks just like her. There, she meets Nam Si-hyun, a boy who looks exactly like Yeonjun. Junhee finds herself in Minju's life because of an incident Minju had. Junhee now tries to navigate the past, help Minju, and grow close to Si-hyun and his friend Jung In-gyu. In-gyu has feelings for Minju, while Minju likes Si-hyun. Before Junhee took over her body, Minju had confessed her feelings to Si-hyun, but he said he only saw her as a friend. Once Junhee enters Minju's life, Si-hyun starts to notice the changes. She's livelier and more outspoken than before. Junhee tells them she's from 2023 and that her name isn't actually Minju. At first, they laugh it off, but over time, they start to believe her based on how different her personality is. Si-hyun eventually develops feelings for her because it's really Junhee inside. In-gyu, on the other hand, realizes that the girl he liked isn't quite the same anymore. Back in 2023, Junhee visits Minju's uncle, who owns a coffee shop. He mistakes her for Minju, since they look identical. He also shares that something tragic happened to Minju years ago. Junhee believes she's been sent to the past to help prevent that tragedy to change the course of events. But things take a turn when she discovers that her involvement may have made things worse. Minju once had a quiet classmate named Oh Chan-hui, who liked her from afar. He had a younger brother, Oh Chan-young, who had unusual behaviors from a young age. While Chan-hui stayed distant, Chan-young developed a dangerous obsession, believing that things or people he liked should never leave him. In a twist, Junhee learns that someone from the future traveled to 1998 and was responsible for the tragedy involving Minju. This person used someone else's body to carry out their plan, creating chaos across time. Later, Junhee sees Yeonjun again in 2023 or so, she thinks. It turns out, Yeonjun's body is now being lived in by Nam Si-hyun. During the accident, Si-hyun ended up in Yeonjun's body, and after another incident, he returned to his own now with visible scars. Everything starts to make sense for Junhee. Determined to fix the past, Junhee uses the cassette to return again. But this time, she can't control things. She's stuck observing while the real Minju, now aware of everything, pretends to be Junhee to stay close to Si-hyun. Si-hyun starts to feel that something isn't right. He tells her that the girl he truly loved was different and urges her to be honest. Feeling hopeless, Minju is devastated to lose Si-hyun again. She starts to hate herself, especially since the people around her keep saying not to return to her old self because they preferred the version of Minju who was actually Junhee. Wanting to die and be remembered, she decides to let herself be murdered. Minju knows that Chan-young is planning to kill her, so she willingly goes with him. But In-gyu tries to save her. After he rescues her, Minju begs In-gyu to kill her, saying she wants to end her suffering and be remembered after death. She jumps off a building, and In-gyu runs after her. By the time he reaches the ground, Minju is already dead, and this is how Si-hyun finds them. When Si-hyun asks what happened, In-gyu claims he killed Minju. Si-hyun doesn't believe him, but In-gyu insists honoring Minju's final wish. Junhee realizes she messed up because Minju still ended up dying. She wants to try again, but the cassette is already broken. She gets it repaired and uses it one last time, even though it's damaged, and luckily, it works. She travels back to the past and wakes up in Minju's body just as she's about to fall from the building. Before she can fall, she manages to grab In-gyu's hand and she's saved. She thanks In-gyu, and when she sees Si-hyun, she hugs him. Junhee has now decided how to make things right. They must destroy the cassette player, even though this means she can never time travel again, and all their memories of her will be erased. But it's the only way. Ingyu discards the cassette player, and everything changes. Junhee never time travels and never meets Saihyun. They simply hope that someday, fate will bring them together again. This time, their meeting is different. Before, Saihyun already knew he was in love with Junhee. So when he woke up in Yeongjun's body, he made choices that brought him closer to her, attending her university and applying at the same restaurant where she worked. They fell in love because Saihyun already knew she was the one, even though Junhee didn't recognize him yet. Now, when they meet, neither of them remembers the past. They ride the same bus as strangers, but both feel an unexplainable connection when a familiar song from the cassette player plays. Saihyun introduces himself to Junhee. Note: Hang Junhee and Kwon Minju are different people. They do not share the same body, just as Koo Yi-young, Jung, and Nam Si-hyun are two separate individuals. This is made clear when, in high school, Si-hyun meets a young Hang Junhee, while Kwon Minju also exists and is his classmate. And that's the end of A Time Called You. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and check out my other summaries too.